group of teachers walk in and just say, what can we help you with? So that's been a very, very cool experience for our teachers as well. Our students got some really good feedback from that. So it's been fun. We've learned a lot. Man, our teachers have just continued to put instruction everywhere possible. Like I said, we got more tools in our toolbox. We're excited about the future and we can continue to use those tools as the best instruction.
And so, like you guys spoke about, kind of both of you couldn't overcome it. And that's where a lot of them thought, well, I'm kind of in a hole, there's no way I can get past this point, I'm here for the rest of the year. And once they could come in and kind of get back on the right track, even going back home from that point on, they've been able to kind of turn that ship and do the work and get where they need to be. So, like you said, I think just giving them an opportunity, bringing them in and showing them some support, knowing that we're here for them to help take care of them, has meant a lot.
Yeah, I had a kid the other day, he's an option 3 kid. We provided some opportunities for him to come in and get some extra support, and he come down the hallway, Mr. Fritz, I got it, and I give him a big old hug. He's like, I got one done, we're moving, we're getting closer. He's a senior. So seeing that kind of stuff, man, it lights up your day, because they've struggled. I mean, kids have really, really struggled, and it's really exciting to see a smile on their face when they see a little bit of success.
Well, I think we're all very excited about graduation too. So we thank you all for willing to have it at your schools, on the football field. I mean, I've gotten a lot of comments about graduation.
I think it's going to be very, very unique, and we need to do unique things for these kids because it's been a unique year, and we're really, really excited about it. I think it's going to be great. We're just going to keep praying that it don't rain.
Absolutely.
Get one big giant umbrella.
Yeah.
No rain.
That's right.
All right, that's great. Anybody else have anything?
Thank you all.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all.
Again,
Appreciate it.
It's been
Thank
great.
you. Great job.
Okay, Ms. Cobb, we got notified by Tony Thomas, our architect, just a few minutes ago that he's behind an accident out there on the road, so he's having difficulty getting here. He's on his way, but since that is just a report piece, I feel we can just kind of move on the agenda, and when we get down to some of the action items there, he can do his report in conjunction with that. That's okay, yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so we'll just skip down to our action agenda, and that's Mr. Woods with our monthly financial reports.
Good evening. How are you all?
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing fine, thank you. We'll start with the balance sheet and the bank reconciliation here. As of March 31st, the district ended with a reconciled balance of $91,243,156.22. You know, we've been talking about this for several months now. It's up. We have construction funds, and those, you'll see the balance go down as we get further along in construction and we pay out more and more. So we do have 2 big construction projects that we do have the money up front where we sold bonds, so that's a big majority of that. And when we sell more bonds, you know, it could go up with additional projects. So that makes up the difference there. Of the reconciled balance, the district had $5,740,990.65 excuse me, in investments. Those rates range from 0.45 to 0.65. You'll see that's down. We had some mature. Market rates are really, really low. We're trying to get as high as we can out of those, but we are up above what most items are paying out at. Most are down well below. I think some accounts are paying like 0.05, something like that. I mean, so it's really low. But we're trying to maximize what little we do have out there. In your board packet, you also had copies of the balance sheet and the revenue and expense report for March. I've been tracking through those, making sure that all of our expenditures are staying on track, are within our percentages, variances where they should be. We seem to be doing just fine right there, and our tax collection rates are holding steady and about where they were this time last year. You know, the point last year had a little catch-up time because we were a little bit delayed with bills going out, but we're actually closing that gap now, and we're pretty much on target of where we were this time last year, and this year with our collection rates. We're doing well. That's my report.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Woods? We've all had a little over a week to review and ask questions and go through all this, so don't take our silence as we don't know what's going on. Okay, so I guess we'll just skip over all of the, there's Gina, you want me to just skip all of the construction?
Motion to approve. Yeah.
Okay.
Need that.
All right, so let's go back up here and just give me a motion to approve the financial reports as presented. Motion by Mr. Rutherford, do I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Mrs. Coyle. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Sorry about that, I wasn't paying attention. So we're going to skip everything Tony Thomas related.
Mr. Wood, yeah.
I can handle the
You're
BG5.
going to do the BG5? Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so next we have, Mr. Woods is going to do our BG5 for Boonesboro Elementary.
So the BG5 is really, it's a closeout form that we do on all projects now. They started that about 3 years ago, added the 5. This is us closing out Boonesboro. We've gotten all of our punch list items done, everything paid out. We've made sure that all of our warranties and everything were good. We kind of hold on to that for a little while after construction, make sure everything's okay, make sure we don't need any of the contingency money for anything that's left out there. This is a closeout. It's really a reconciliation. It takes the BG1 versus this BG5, which is our actual expenditures, and takes our revenues that were out there, and it says what money is left over from the project that we didn't use. We were able to, thanks to Mr. Cash and his group, keeping an eye on all the expenditures out there and watching as we went through and making sure we were staying on task, and Tony as well with that we were able to save all of the contingency, and with this BG5, if you approve it, we'll have $970,414.75 that we can apply to our next project. So this allows us to send this into the state, get it closed out, and they call that residual funds that we have available to use on a qualified project.
That's awesome. So just for those watching at home, basically, we budgeted X amount, spent X amount, and we were $970,000 to the good.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And in that, the state requires you to have a contingency on all the projects for just that, if something happens unexpected, and we're able to move through our projects without having to use those funds.
Yeah, that's great. Yes, and thank you to Mr. Cash and whoever was greasing those wheels. That's excellent.
It takes a village. I think it's everybody.
Yeah, that's great.
Dr. Gillum,
Yeah,
Mr. Thomas.
Well, that's great news. That's that much more money that can be applied to these other projects we have going on.
Yes, and helps us to keep from bonding as much on our next project. So
That's great.
that's always good.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Woods on the BG5 for Boonesboro Elementary? No? Okay. So can I have a motion to approve the BG5 for Boonesboro Elementary as presented?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Coyle. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second by Mrs. Burford. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, all right, motion carries. All right, so I'm assuming Tony is, you're doing final plans for Clarkmore too? Okay.
What's that? Yes, so Mr. Thomas will need to be here to present the plans, and he is on his way. I'm fine to skip on down to the superintendent's report, if that's okay with you, since it's just a report, doesn't really require action.
Yeah, we can do that.
And, so-
Or we can do the
Cafeteria.
cafeteria, we can do Mr.
Cafeteria.
Anderson.
Okay.
The cafeteria purchases, do you want to do those?
Either one,
It's
whatever
okay.
you guys prefer to do. We
Okay.
can go to you or
Well,
we can do Mr. Anderson.
we can go ahead and do the cafeteria purchases since you're there.
I can
Ready to
stay
roll.
up here and.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All
And
right.
Mr. Anderson's here.
And
for
Mr.
the
Anderson's here to
Mr.
answer any
Anderson's
questions
here.
that we have on that, but.
So we're going to skip on down to information on cafeteria furniture purchases. So we'll start with Mr. Woods.
So this is a recommendation to purchase new cafeteria tables and setups for 10 schools. This is off of a co-op bid. It's a cooperative purchase. The bidding process has been done for us. I reviewed with Mr. Anderson. He made contact with the company. I've reviewed all of the product that they came in. They showed us the designs, looked through all of that. I have reviewed everything for compliance to make sure that we're in purchasing compliance with that, and we would recommend that the board consider approving this. They do have the funds to pay for this, so it will not be coming out of general fund. This is out of the food service funds.
So the money we use for these, the tables, has to stay in our food service funds, correct?
Yes, food service.
Can't be used for buildings or anything?
Right, right. Food service funds, anything, it operates more like a business with a profit and loss versus a dead zero balance. And anything that they have, they can keep a 3 months expenditure. That's it. Anything above that, we're required to have a plan of spending. They want the money put back into the program. And for several years, it was not this way. General fund had to help out food service and take care of these bigger expenditures like this to equip all of our cafeterias. They are doing well, and this is money that is in excess of our 3 months expenditure, so it's part of our plan with the state to reduce those, and we're putting the funds back into putting new equipment in. I think you all were able to see all the different designs and everything, and the principals were actually part of this as well. They were included in this, so they got to speak with Mr. Anderson and the provider and let them know what they would like to see, and they had help in designing this. So.
And I think it's probably, am I correct in that the majority of the money for our food service program comes from federal dollars?
Yes.
And it's, as you said, it's earmarked, can only be spent for food service.
Put back
related-
into the program, correct.
related program.
How did you determine what 10 schools here? I mean, of course, I know Boonesboro's got new cafeteria tables, but what was the factor? Because I
Great
see Glenn
question.
Marshall's on here, and it's pretty new. Not
So-
really, but newer.
I went around and spoke to each principal and found out who had tables that were in desperate need to be replaced. We knew we were going to redo Clarkmore at some point in time during the renovation, so I needed to keep a few schools behind to lump up with them so we get a better price when we do Clarkmore's. So I figured 10 was a good number, so I went around and ranked them from 1 to 20, depending upon how good the tables were in the cafeteria. Glenn Marshall, even though they're newer, their tables, the quality of the tables, they were falling, hitting kids, different things like that. So the quality wasn't as good as some of the other schools.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that the other schools are going to get some new cafeteria
Yeah, so my
tables.
plan is August 1st, that first week of August, we'll put these tables into these 10 schools, and then we'll start the process again. We'll finish out the rest of the schools, and hopefully by Christmas, we'll be bringing in, sometime between Christmas and spring break. My hope is to come back to you and do the rest of the schools at that time.
We get a better rate and better pricing when you.
Yeah, so
when you do
I've been
multiple.
negotiating this since November, first part of December. I mean, we drastically cut the price that we spent on tables. We got a very, very competitive deal, and I feel we'll do so again next year.
So is this a different company since the Glenn Marshall tables are tearing up and
Yes,
obviously
yeah,
not
totally-
worthwhile?
Totally different company. We've looked at quality. We spent a week looking at quality, looking at comparing companies. I even went out, and I'll post a video today, didn't want to do so before you guys voted, went out during spring break and took some time off my vacation and went out and toured the company, wanted to check to see, you know, what kind of quality they're putting out, and was very impressed with the company, and they're in Chicago. It's all American made.
So
That's
that's going to be on your Facebook page?
I'm going to post it, if you guys say yes, my plan is to post it. In the video, I say, if you're seeing this, the board has approved it. I didn't want to assume that you were going to, but I wanted to be ready if you did.
I know I was impressed with the design. You know, it's more cafe, more.
It is, so.
These are cool pictures.
Yep.
Yeah, and,
And-
logos on things.
Yep, we're going to
and just,
finalize those designs next week, and then they're going to go into production. So I'm very excited. The kids are excited, and I know the high school talked about, the kids have been through a lot, and so it's a little bit to bring them back in, brand-new cafeterias, get the rest of the schools next year as soon as we get these in.
I wondered at Central, given kind of how tight things are out there, does this new seating, does it add any additional?
It will add additional seating,
Okay.
yes. It's got different levels, and one of the cool things about Central is they've got the one tribe. We're bringing in a logo from every school that feeds into Central. And so when you go in there, you'll see your elementary school, you'll see your middle school logo. So all of those logos will be intertwined in Central. And then next year, we save the other high school for next year and hope to do the same thing for Southern.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Well, that's good.
And let me also interject while Mr. Anderson's up here, just a couple of things. We mentioned the funding, and you can see from the balance sheet there that we've been able to accumulate a pretty good balance in our food
Right.
service account, and that's due to several things. One is Mr. Anderson is very aggressive about taking advantages of some food opportunities that are able to save us some on the cost end, but still provide very high quality product to our students. But also during this during the pandemic over the past year, the federal government through the CEP program has expanded some opportunities, obviously for us to meet the needs of our students. But with that comes a little higher reimbursement rate and opportunity to serve more meals. And our district has really taken advantage of that to provide those meals to those students. You all have heard us talk multiple times about how hard our food service staff has worked. And certainly that pays off in the delivery of the food to the families and to the students. But it also ends up, because the reimbursement rates are pretty good, it also ends up on a positive for our balance sheet. And so very few districts across the state have taken full advantage of this. And I don't know of any that have provided the opportunities or the services to our kids the way that our Madison County Food Service people have. And so certainly that's a testament to, I know Mr. Anderson there will give all the credit in the world to those folks working at the cafeterias, his chefs as he calls them, and we're very proud of their work and so appreciative of what they've done. But also I want to say Mr. Anderson received the State Food Service Director of the Year award just recently, so I wanted to, while he's at the podium, I wanted to make sure we recognized him for that. So congratulations,
Thank you
Mr.
very
Anderson.
much.
Thank you.
That is
So,
well deserved.
and again, the kids are getting the food, the families are getting the food, and now it's going to be our kids in our schools that are going to be using these, profits or the funds from those things through these cafeteria
Yeah.
tables. And he's put together he and Mr. Cash and Mr. Woods have worked together to develop a spending plan to replace and upgrade a lot of our equipment throughout the district in our cafeterias.
Yeah.
So
So we'll be
very exciting
upgrading
stuff. Yep.
freezers, coolers, ovens, and bringing that to you over the next few months to put the money back into the cafeterias, again, to make sure that our kids get good food. But because it's been a hard year, I wanted the kids to come back to some exciting cafeterias, make it look more like a restaurant-type feel and not such a,
It's
just a
very
bland.
contemporary.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just,
yeah.
It's like
Well, this
that-
will be exciting.
Cottle has that now, right? Or is it?
Boonesboro.
Boonesboro.
I knew I'd
Yeah.
seen it somewhere.
But this equipment, Boonesboro's hard to move. We made sure that this equipment is movable
for
and.
cleaning.
And for cleaning and things
Yeah.
like that. So we've really, of course, since we've done Boonesboro, they've upgraded, because a lot of schools weren't doing that. So the equipment that we put in there was designed for restaurants. So now they've added wheels and things to reach out to schools.
Quick question.
Sure.
While you're up there, I know we typically are doing a lot of food handouts during our Fridays, but now that's all about to change.
Fridays switched to Tuesdays. That starts, so
okay.
right now, from 4 to 6, they're handing out to our virtual students, and that'll be every Tuesday until school's out. And then we'll go into our summer feeding, and feed our kids in summer school and those type things.
And still do the bus this summer.
Still planning on running the bus, look at maybe coming to you and asking to buy a mini bus or something and do a mini street eats. Lots of different things that we're looking at doing, hopefully with your permission in the future.
it's great. Well,
Any
we're
other
taking
questions?
advantage of these federal dollars.
Yes,
We're
they're
putting
available.
every bit of it back into our kids, and that's
Yeah,
that's
You're
what I
right.
like to see.
You're right.
Yep, yeah, we're
That's
making
great.
sure we get every dollar we can, and it's not necessarily about getting the money, it's about feeding the kids. And because we're feeding the kids, the money's available.
That's great.
So,
Well, it takes an effort from everybody, as you know, but, to take advantage of that funds, we had to put some work into it. And like Dr. Gillum kind of said, other people didn't take advantage of that.
yeah. Well, we've been
Because
going
you have to put
since,
more into it.
we've been going for over a year, nonstop.
Yeah.
We didn't stop during the summer, sometimes 7 days a week. So it's been a lot of long hours.
I think something that, since I've been on the board, that I've noticed is if there's a program out there to get help, get free food, whatever, Mr. Anderson is on it. And I think this right here shows how he's always out there watching and trying to help the district save money. And on top of that, the food that they put out is phenomenal. We've went in several times, we've went in and ate at cafeterias and
And I'm like, let's eat.
Yes.
Let's eat. What are we
These-
having?
These chefs and cafeteria workers are just, the food is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think, our kids really enjoy eating at school, and it all comes back, and we're able to put it all back into the schools, and I think it's a great thing.
Well, I think there's two reasons why a parent picks a district to move into, and one is the education. I think we do a fantastic job as education, and the other, I believe, is food service. And when you've got a good reputation in both, I think we attract people and draw people in, so.
And I know there are a lot of parents who have appreciated your information and your help on the EBT cards, letting people know
Yeah.
what they needed to do in the beginning, what's available, letting them know when those cards were getting reloaded, because
Yep.
there are a lot of people that, had you not done that, would have never known
Sure,
that
sure.
that was even available to them. And I know
Yep.
that has helped a tremendous amount of families.
Yep.
And that's really been wonderful, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
So, okay.
Congratulations again.
Yeah, that is-
We need to
that is-
celebrate that.
Yeah,
We
we
really
need to
do.
do something. That's wonderful. Okay, do we have any more questions on the, okay. All right, so I need a motion to approve the purchase of cafeteria furniture for Madison Central, Foley Middle School, Kit Carson, Kingston, Glen Marshall, Kirksville, Waco, Silver Creek, Daniel Boone, and Whitehall Elementary as presented.
So moved.
And we have a motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do I have a second?
I'll make the second.
All right, and a second by Mrs. Burford. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion approved. Thank you very much. And congratulations again to Mr. Anderson,
Thank you very much.
Food Service Director of the Year in the state of Kentucky. That is fabulous.
We didn't get to have awards today, I guess
Yeah.
because we're doing a special meeting. So, Next
That's
month.
wonderful. All right, okay. Mr. Thomas, bless your heart. How are you doing?
Good, good.
All right. I'm gonna,
Come up and
yes, I will come back up here and you can just kind of, if you want to do your instruction report, and then we can move into the Clarkmore plans and the BG1s and the BG3s for
Yes, ma'am.
Clarkmore.
sure can.
How about you just?
Yes.
You take it away.
So I apologize for my
Bless
missing
your
my spot
heart.
on the agenda.
No,
We
Turned
heard
into-
the sirens, so we
You're
knew it was
fine.
bad.
Well,
Two
there was
wrecks?
one on the north side, so I peeled off, came through town, 5 o'clock traffic, came down here, there's another wreck down here. You probably heard the ones right down
Right
here.
here.
That was the second wreck.
Oh,
Bless your heart. Well, we're glad you're here, and thank
So-
you for,
Well, thank you for
Scooting
giving me
through
the
all that.
ability to come in a little bit late here. Yes, and I guess there was not some, usually I'm not on till 30 or 40 minutes in anyway, but Jeannie texted me and said, "You're up in 5 minutes." I was just sitting still. So, construction report, I'll begin in Berea at the CTC. See a lot of sunshine and dry dirt, that's all good stuff. And you see a lot of footings in here. You can see concrete trucks working and excavators working, and Fairstown Middle in the background there, just beautiful scene. This is last week, actually. Stem walls going in, concrete, rebar. Here you can see some contractors putting in some concrete in a stem wall. That's just the vertical wall on the footing to support the block that goes up. Here's some more. So it's a lot about concrete and rebar and dirt right now, which is basically where they are, but that's good. They're making good progress on it. Again, they started at the bus garage end and are working toward the entry end. You can see the kind of jagged area here where the front entry is to the building. If you remember, it kind of has alternating step backs, cascades back. More footings and rebar, so good progress there. Any questions for the CTC in Berea?
that looks good. Move it along.
Okay, we'll move on to the Area Technology Center, and there's our big concrete castle that, with crenellations at top. And again, here, outside of getting that piece vertical, they wanted to get the big concrete, because that's a storm shelter, of course, as well, the gym storm shelter area. You can see more concrete work. Of course, they're further along. They're probably, 2 or 3 months ahead of Berea here. But again, footings, concrete. Here inside the gym storm shelter, you can see they're starting to put the gravel down for the slab, so they should be pouring, and they've actually finished this off now, so they'll be installing the slab soon. We've got structure on site now. That'll be the thick, you can see that's really thick steel there. Those go on top of the roof where the storm shelter is, so pretty beefy structure there. They're continuing to make trenches for utilities now, so we're getting a little better advanced with plumbing. This is the concession stand area where you can see they're installing the plumbing, getting a lot of the underground utilities work. There are conduits coming away from the main mechanical room out to the rest of the building. A lot of electrical in these projects. And some more plumbing here. So you can see just a lot going on, except for the gym. We haven't really gone vertical yet. But with all this underground work that's going on, the masons have started. The masons have started that first row of block, and when they get some concrete slabs poured in the next month, you'll see the walls begin to go vertical there. So, any questions on the ATC?
That's great.
Okay. The plans, I've got a lot of slides here for the Clark-Moore's final plan. This is your approval of the final plans for the Clark-Moore's addition and renovation. So I want to be able to have enough, a lot of information for you to look at. I'll go through it very briefly, but whatever you have questions on, please feel free to stop. So this is plan approval. I'm assuming that, did the agenda item already get approved or? Okay. So Clark-Moore's, this is a site plan that, of course, I knew would be way too small, so I've gone to here and already done some zoom ins. Let's see, that doesn't work. If it's okay, if I walk up there?
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
And Tony, you asked about the plans. We have not approved final plans yet for Clark-Moore's.
Okay.
Yes, so when you get finished, we'll have to circle back up to that, yes.
Okay. Did you approve the BG1 and the BG3?
We did not.
Okay.
Yeah, we did approve the BG5 for Boonesboro, so we have money to put on the BG1.
Sure.
Yeah.
So 25 Berea Road, entry. So I've zoomed in on the parking lot here. Not any different than what you've seen before, but just to let you know, we're extending the loop here so that more cars can stack up, probably about 30 more cars can stack up. And if you include a few parking spaces there too, there's 35, 36, 37, more parking spots that gets off of the highway. We're going to either seal coat or repave or even patch some of the areas of the asphalt so that when we walk away from here, you'll be all black and shiny there with new striping. Few new trees. Richmond requires us to put some trees. They have a landscaping policy, so to speak. So that's the front area of the school. You can see where we're putting in a new canopy there. I zoomed in on the canopy here. So similar, think of foley somewhat, but we've got renderings later so you can see what that looks like. Here's an area that we're patching, of course, increasing the handicap accessibility, relocating the flagpole, just a little bit of landscaping there. So if we move back on the side a little bit, the major portion of the building, you can see we've got a kitchen addition, which we've talked about before, which is cooler, freezer, office, dishwash area. A new addition, which is band room, 2 classrooms, and then miscellaneous selective work throughout the main portion of the building. Same addition we were just talking about. Now let's jump back towards the football field. Of course, you're now pretty good size athletic building. We're going to come around here and pave this area as well. One of the trailers remains. That's very usable by the students and staff. 2 of the trailers back there will be demolished in the contract. So Chuck, if you want them, you better go get them. They're right there. I don't think you want one of them. And that's just a blow. The reason I blew this area up is because the last few times we walked through here, there's been a couple of scope increases. And we're trying to stick to the 6 as close as we can, but we've added some bleachers and we've gone back here to where the dock is. And I'm sorry if that's too small. we're redoing that whole dock area. And I say dock area, there's a dock area here, but right now they take their cans out over here and dump them in a dumpster, and that's kind of falling apart, and the rails are bad, and where the truck comes and picks up the dumpster really weighs down, and the asphalt's bad. So we're tearing all that out and putting new concrete in, new steps, new doors, a new way for them to access the dumpster more easily, and then pouring concrete in that area where the truck really sits on it and puts a lot of weight there. All this will either be patched or seal coated. Patched as in dig it out because it's just the pavement's too bad and we need to take it down the base, or seal coated and restripe. Any questions on the site? This is a plan again where we need to zoom in on it. So this is the 72 portion of the building minus the gym and cafeteria, which we'll zoom in on that. The major work that we're doing here again is the media center, where we've taken up some spaces out front and added on to it. I've got to blow up with that space. Did some work in the front entry area here and really made some tight security. Not really a lot of work, but we're doing the doors and doing the brick and the windows. Outside of that, not a lot of work going on in just the standard classrooms. You know, they have HVAC from 10, 11 years ago. They have new ceilings. I know you all get in there and paint off and on, but they will have new doors and windows. Here we're doing, those four need the new HVAC and ceilings. If we do some blow-ups of these areas, oh, I should mention that also, all the plumbing fixtures are getting replaced in the restrooms. If we blow up on the media center, you can see we've done a nice design. Lounge areas, 2 classroom areas, shelves, the circulation with an office and AV storage back there, a little collaboration area. There's TVs and marker boards with, of course, your technology is familiar with what's going on there.
Mr. Thomas, just kind of for clarification, when we're referring to media, that's what some of us know is the library?
That's right, yes.
Okay. Just
Library,
making
the
sure.
library area, which is almost becoming more of a data central. It really is. But yes. In the office area, just to blow up on, and we've looked at this before, this is getting reconfigured, the way you come in, the way you have to stop. That door, even right there, once you get in the office, you still can't get to school. That door will have a buzzer on it. Well, they still have to push a buzzer behind the counter for you to get through. New two-station casework here when you come in. Then a new wall here where students can sit behind here and wait for this assistant principal's office. There used to be a wall in here. We've made this one big one now. And this, what was youth service, you know, when we use service over across the gym now, is now the principal's office. Those areas will get finishes, new lighting, new ceilings, new floor, new paint. But these other areas, we are putting a little wall in here, so there'll be a little touch up in there. New lockers, I should say. The entire facility is getting new lockers.
Where did the guidance counselor go?
Guidance counselors right here. Oh, I'm sorry. The guidance counselors are right here. We should have called those guidance officers.
Okay.
We should,
Yeah,
yeah,
it just
they
says
should be.
office.
Yeah, you're right. We should have called those guidance officers. We're running, not doing that much to them, but they requested to put a wall in right here, and students can sit and wait here, go to either those 2 offices or
Well, that gives them more privacy when they're
Yes.
with a student.
That's right. That's right. And this is the other area, the 72 building. You can see how large these bleachers are. We were fitting about 250 in before. This is 550. So the bleachers are just huge now. But the discussion we were having, of course, is it okay to pull out onto the floor? And of course, Dr. Gillum and Mr. Sexton and Mr. Cash like, we need to sit that many kids. But you can pull out just 3 or 4 bleachers, or 5, how many it takes, and still watch a basketball game and still sit 250 for a basketball game. But if you want to sit the entire population, which could possibly get up to 600, we couldn't get. At some point, we've got other
How many
existing
do
features.
we have there right now? Do we know?
How many students? 400, around 450, yeah.
Okay.
So you're saying you can pull those about halfway out? You don't have to pull them out completely?
That's right. You can pull out one row at a time and lock it.
Okay.
One row at a time and lock it. So you just pull out one row if you wanted to.
Okay.
Or
Can
you can
you-
pull out about 4 or 5 and stay 6 feet off the
Can you do that
basketball court.
safely without somebody
all the
getting
time.
hurt and?
And that's the design that we actually have at at Shannon Johnson and Kirksville, Silver Creek. Yeah, we have a full set of bleachers that come partially out onto the court. These actually, I don't think they actually roll out very far onto the court at all with this, but,
That's right.
but we would have to keep them back
Right,
in
right.
order to have a basketball game, but yes.
And that's a good point. Once you get the whole thing extended, you're really only 2 or 3 rows onto the court. But to have a basketball game, according to standards, you'd have to be 6 feet back. So you'd have to stop back here somewhere, but you're only rolling about that far on the basketball court. You can still see the three-point line right there.
So for a Veterans Day program or a
That's
Christmas
right.
program, it would be fine.
That's right.
Or an
That's
eighth
right.
grade
And that's the
graduation.
advantage
Yep,
of
any
why
type
they
of
want
student
to-
assembly,
Right.
yes. And we're still seating pretty much the same amount that we would for a basketball game. So we're not really losing seating
all
for a
game.
basketball.
It's
Yeah.
all game for you.
Yeah.
More multifunctional. We'll zoom in on the stage area, and we talked about it before, they don't really use the depth of the stage. We're cutting the stage in half and turning the back part into storage. Across the lobby from the media center is the concessions right next to the gym. A workroom, teacher dining, and the office moved to, the PE office moved to here because we've doubled the size of this gym equipment room so that they have more storage there in Clarkmore. Really not doing anything in the locker rooms. I think Madison County might be replacing the light fixtures. Cooler freezer addition. We've seen this before, cooler addition now with doors coming onto the back. I'm sorry, the ramp goes this way now. This is my enlarged plan, but that's not right. This is correct, but the ramp goes this way now. And that's the way it was on the other plan. And this is so that was the 72 main portion of the building. This is the 80s edition. We're taking one room, turning it into a classroom and a resource room. The art room's getting revamped. It's annexing what was the band room's storage because we're building a new band room. So they get that storage. Well, here, I'll just go on. So there's the art room, there's the storage room, new kiln, new sink. So everything's getting done. Since we're messing it up in there, we just got to do everything. And that portion of the building didn't have a lot of ceilings in it either. We're dropping ceilings in it. It was just open tech and deck and trusses. Up where the band room is, we're turning this into the technology education because they just didn't need the big space that they had. And taking the football locker room and turned it into technology storage. This could be robotics and storage, things of that nature. Janitor's room, 2 new faculty rooms, and this is the conference room. This is the kind of central, I say central, just the conference room for the building.
And Tony, let me interject there. I misspoke just a minute ago. I think I said 550 is the.
I thought,
Yeah, I misspoke there. I apologize. Yes,
I think you said 550.
okay. It's 550, yes, that's what it is. So, yeah.
You said that.
Yeah.
Right. So the 90s edition, this was the tech ed room that we're now turning into 3 classrooms and a resource room. So that's what you get out of that very large tech ed room with the big bulky stations in it that aren't really used that much anymore. You get 3.5 classrooms out of it. So that's going to be advantageous to the district and Mr. Sexton as well. Again, plumbing fixtures change. This classroom pretty much stays the same, except we've got to get in here and redo the ceilings because we're doing some HVAC work above, so you will have new ceilings and new paint. Other than that, home X pretty much stays like it is, except for the HVAC. These 4 classrooms stay like they are, and of course, this is the addition, 2 classrooms in the band. If we look at the enlarged band, the titles didn't show up, but that's the equipment storage, office, some practice rooms, some equipment storage, and I've got a rendering of that later, but teaching wall, and of course, the walls are angled because that helps with acoustics.
Is it soundproof, like so that the rest of the school's not hearing them?
As much as possible.
Possible,
But yeah,
okay.
it's not like building a separate building.
Right,
but,
right.
Yeah, the wall will have insulation and things like that. Sound absorption, I just.
Very similar to Foley's, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
In
that's
terms
right.
of proximity
Yes.
to the other classrooms, almost
Right.
identical, yes.
Right, right. Just wanted to show the roof plan. This isn't the prettiest of pictures, but just so that you all know, we haven't really talked a lot about roofs. There's multiple things going on here. The 90s edition is getting a whole roof. It's its turn to get a whole roof. You know, it's the old rubber with the gravel on top, what you all have been going around and replacing those after 20, 25 years. So it's its turn. We're putting new TPO, which is the thermoply white, which you've seen on Madison Central, and we had some on Boonesboro, and you all have really
Yes.
liked that TPO. This is an existing foam roof that's really out of warranty. We're just gonna, we've got to do some touch-up on the foam, on the rest, it's got foam roofing on it. So we're just gonna have them recoat the top of that. It's gonna be a lot less expensive than tearing all the insulation off and putting all the insulation on, and then putting the TPO roof on top of it. So they'll touch that up, and then we're coming in and just touching places here and there, you know, especially where we're gonna tear off the panel. We've got to go around and respray all that foam to where the fascia panel ties in. And then, of course, the new canopy here. Let's see, and the athletic building. This hasn't changed much since last month when I showed you the changes we made to make these larger.
Thank you for that.
Well, it's Madison County's vision, so. And it turned out that the concessions is a little larger too, so in the end, I think everybody's going to appreciate that. But 3 storage, concession, mechanical, men's and women's, and of course the 2 locker rooms, brick walls. These will be cooled. Pretty much all that's either heated or ventilated, but these are the only ones that really get cooled. Some of the cooling will go over into here just in case you're in there in July and August. So that's the athletic building. Phasing, just wanted to let you all know, we've talked to Mr. Cash and Dr. Gillum and Mr. Sexton about phasing. You know, Boonesboro is all new on a new site. We've been fortunate about, since Foley and Silver Creek, not having to deal with phasing. We've worked this out so that you don't have to purchase any new trailers and put them on site. So kids are, you know, not going to have to go out to, you know, new temporary trailers put out on the site, which costs you money and becomes a little bit of an inconvenience for a lot of the staff and students as well. Of course, the people at Clarkmore's, Mr. Cash has made them aware what renovation is like. It's everybody just needs to be patient and understand that, you know, you're going through renovation. So that next year, they're willing to tighten up, and they understand that you know, art might be on a cart or something like that. And, you know, a teacher may have to move, you know, stay one place from August through Christmas and then be in another room from Christmas on. And those are the kind of things that just work with the renovation. But we're pretty much starting in the very back. We'll stage in the very back, start in that area, and then work our way around. And if anybody ever wanted to see this much closer or take a closer look at how it works out, I'd be glad to spend more time on it and share with you how it works out. But basically, starting in the back, they're going to need that whole time. I'm sorry, the whole time being all through the summer, all through the coming year, and then all through the next one. That's basically how most of the renovation projects worked out, because it gives you the 2 summers on either side when kids aren't at school. Then we'll work our way through the rest of the building, and hopefully by the time August 22 rolls around, they're finishing it. Straight to a picture, a rendering. We talked about fascia. We've walked around the building a few times. I think the best thing is just to take it all and replace it all. And I don't even think I mentioned that to Dr. We were trying to find places where to keep it. And some of the places that would be out of kind of vision, we were thinking about saving, but even if we paint them, and you asked, it turned out to be, if we just go ahead and replace all of it, it's about $60,000 is about the number we're talking about, which really turned out to be a little bit less than I thought it would be. Painting it would be about $25,000. But if you paint it, you don't get the dents and wrinkles out of it, because some of it is, you know, if you really start looking close of it, it's bent and dent and wrinkled. And so my suggestion, we just have in the base bid now to replace it all the way around, all
With the
parts
same
of it.
metal?
Similar type of
Okay.
metal. I'm going to, yes. Kind of the same look, where you have those verticals every like 4 to 6 inches or something like that. Assuming you all are okay with that, you know. I mean, I've showed you all something like this before. Now, again, just like in every project, the colors can change. You know, after we bid and we get the product manufacturers, we'll come and talk about exact brick colors with you, exact metal fascia. Since we're replacing it all, we can go with any color we want. We don't have to worry about matching up with any other color. The canopy here, it's kind of the Braves red, but
What kind of material is that?
that's aluminum. That's actually a flat aluminum, I say flat, it's a flat deck aluminum canopy that spans, and this, it kind of looks, you can't really see it, but it's a flat aluminum canopy. It will have downspouts that come in inside those columns and drain the water away. Same thing that is going on from here back. And then, of course, light and the tall tower there at the entry. So we have some stone and some brown and some accent brown. You can see here how much prettier the asphalt is. There's the ADA spaces I was talking about, another view kind of looking straight on. Just some few details with stone stripes and nice windows and stone up top. The kitchen addition. So this is what you're talking, and if the ramp's correct here, your stairs and ramp and dock back here. So, and matching that same, now our new metal will match that exactly. So all of that will be replaced. And you didn't know that neighborhood was such a nice foresty hills back there. Band room addition, we talked about maybe, looking at putting some stripes in it as you go, there's a pretty deep hill back there.
Yes.
So we've got steps. In fact, when you come off here, actually, there's more steps. And I know, if you
it's
walk
big
around
back
there,
there.
you just hill after hill. There's no way to really wrap driving on it. We just can't get cars back there. So, and of course,
That was gonna be my question too. How are we gonna get parking back there by the athletic field? So we're not.
Well, and I can go back to the site plan, but you can drive around to the other side and physically get a car or a bus or something like that down there. But there's no place for parking.
Okay.
Once we went into the detention basin, that's.
Yeah, no, we don't want that. We don't want that.
And the athletic building, we kind of made it look like, Central Park here.
But there'll be a clear sidewalk from the parking lot to
Yes.
the athletic field and the
Yes.
complex.
Yes, it'll come from the outside and then steps down to the athletic complex. So that's the athletic building. Interiors. So we talked about, making the lobby have a little pop. Those are the front entry doors now, and as you're coming in, this would be the media center. Just a little bit different with a darker kind of ceiling tile, some tile accents on the floor, changing that broken ribbed block. I had several people asked me to do something with that, so we're taking that out and actually putting up brick and block, and so so now that brick that you see on the outside kind of comes into the lobby as well, which is always something nice. And an emblem there in the floor. Here's looking from the other direction at the entry back down towards the cafeteria area. So lots of clean color. Here you step inside the media center. Same kind of ceiling tile, some accents. These columns exist, so we're working around some existing structure there. But there's the lounge furniture I was talking about, the shelves, the tables. Another view closer to the circulation desk there. Those are the same doors that you go in, if you go into the library right now, that's the same, well, they're new doors, but the same location. Cafeteria without tables, it looks a lot different once you put that nice new furniture table in there. So again, just nice accents, nice colors, all these colors again, we'll talk about them later. Another view in the cafeteria. We've got a place to put a TV on the wall there. And remember, there's a big room in there now that's going to be cut out of there so that you can have the whole cafeteria. In the band room, we're talking about the band room, it's going to have acoustical tile and acoustical panels all the way around. And I believe...
And it is connected to the existing structure, correct?
Yes. You talking about the band?
The band room.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We are extending, if you go to that very last edition, at the end of the 92's edition, like you're going out and walking on what's a wood ramp right now, that corridor will just continue into where the band room is, so you don't have to step outside. Any other questions? construction well enough.
No more questions on the,
So Mr. Sexton has seen this, he's approved it, there's no,
he's good with it?
Yeah, he's been involved the entire time. We've been
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah, in fact, he came, in fact, we were working with the previous principal, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, and so we were already working with, so his whole entire time has been adding this to his many hats to wear as well. He's been very cooperative, let us in several times, and has met several times, and I know you've had several meetings with him without me.
I can't wait to see it.
Me too.
I did have a quick question in terms of disruption of classrooms. So our initial plan is to start this in the summer, and you're talking about starting in the back with the new addition. What is that going to look like for our teachers and our students when they start back in the fall? Are they going to be immersed in the middle of construction going on in that entire building, or what do those phases look like?
Well, one thing that's going to happen over the summer, and this is one of the things that we'll talk about in pre-bid and pre-construction, is that anything that you need to do inside the main part of the building, you get it done before school gets back. And I'm not talking about their complete work, but sometimes you have to cut off valves, make electrical connections, run some conduit, run some temporary things. But they need to understand that the first thing we're going to do interior is close down the 90s edition, that very back last edition. And they're going to do what work they can over the summer. But that 90s edition will be closed, and there's a very good stopping point back there when you go around past the football locker room. There'll be a barricade right there, and students and contractors cannot mix. So that's going to be a very important factor of ours, is that they don't mix. When they're done with that in October, they're going to move into the 80s edition, and this is probably the trickiest part. The way we've got it set up, we're going to tell them that you have to get whatever you need in the corridor done, because during the school day, you can't be in the corridor. If you need to go into an art room or go through a window or whatever and get into the art room or the tech ed room, because there's already an exterior door out of the band room and the football locker room, they can go through there. But they can't get in the court, and then all those doors on the corridor will be closed off. So that's about as close as they get, is from October to December. Will be in that 80s edition, but that's where we put it in the contract, and that's where we have meetings to make sure that they don't mix. Then once we get into the other areas, like the kitchen and cafeteria, we've already worked with Mr. Anderson and Mr. Cash about how they're going to turn over most of that area for most of the year, and they're going to be able to continue their meals. And I hope I don't speak out of turn here, but they're going to eat in the classrooms, right? Pretty much the whole year, so that the contractors can have that whole area, the kitchen, cafeteria, and do their work and not be in the work on the stage. And then they'll move into the media center, and then that last summer will be the front office area in those areas. So we're trying to phase it so that there's very limited interaction between the students and the contractors.
and keeping our students safe.
That's right.
So
That's
that
right.
strange people can't come in through those
Right.
construction doors.
Right, right.
And not being distracted with all the construction noise. The hammering.
That's gonna happen.
All that
Just a
kind
little.
of stuff. Is that gonna be limited to some degree so those kids can concentrate?
Well, physically, the buildings are somewhat separated, so there will be, like, even when they're in the 80s edition, they're not having class in their edition. The only reason we have to leave it open is so they can walk through to the now occupiable 90s edition. Otherwise, we'd close that area off. So maybe walking to the 90s edition, they may hear something going on behind the door, but not while they're in class.
They're not gonna be sitting in a classroom
They're not gonna
trying
be
to
sitting
take
in
a
a
math
classroom.
exam
Yeah.
with
Drilling.
drilling and hammering.
Oh,
and all
it
that.
can
I
be.
We
like
don't
it.
intend for that to happen.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
that's
and
right.
when you look at the phasing, most of the larger, more noisy construction pieces are either going to happen in the summer or they're happening at the extreme ends of the building where it's separated. And anytime we do construction like that, any type of renovation piece, we close down sections of the building as much as we can. You can see the phase-in plan, that's what we have. We've closed down sections of buildings. And as well, a lot of the the interior, a lot of the classroom pieces aren't necessarily getting completely renovated. They're just getting a little bit of an update. Whereas like now, like the tech ed room, that's going to get gutted and put back, but that's really a pretty quick piece. The items that are going to take a while, we're redoing a whole lot of stuff in that cafeteria. It's going to take a while. When I was principal, we went through construction, and we went most of the year without a cafeteria. And that's just the way it's because our cafeteria was getting completely gutted and renovated. And so we worked through it, and that was a high school with 1,100 students, and we were fine. We worked through it, and we've got a pretty good plan here to do something similar. I'm pretty confident in what we're able to do, but so.
And you're saying those
Yeah.
basketball locker rooms are okay? I think you mentioned that they're not getting new lockers or.
We don't have anything here on
Right.
this
Well,
plan.
I haven't seen them,
Yes.
so I
Yes,
just didn't
and-
know
Yeah, and.
how they looked.
Yeah, but we can always go, if we want to update lockers, we
Yeah,
can do
we
that
can
outside
add
of the
that.
contract. Yeah, we update lockers from time to time, yeah.
I just didn't know how
Yeah.
old they all were, or if they were torn up, or, you hate to have a
Yeah.
shiny new building, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
your visiting team, or your
Sure.
home team comes in, the lockers, rooms are smelly and bad,
Yep.
Falling off the wall.
falling off the wall, lockers.
We can always put that on Mr. Cash's plate.
You can always put new lockers in, yeah.
Got lots of room left on that plate, don't you, Chuck?
I guess I think about Madison Middles, and I've seen those, so I know those are much older, so.
Well, and that's why I mentioned that, this is not, a total from every room, every floor, every wall, every ceiling, just because, Madison
Right.
County has come in themselves over time since '72 and already done some, the offices have already been renovated twice. So there's things that Madison County has already done along the way, and painting's been done.
Now furniture, do we get new furniture? Was that part of the process? I didn't see that.
It's not part of, typically furniture, desk, loose chairs.
Yeah.
Now, we have built-in casework, like art, band, things like
Yeah.
that. The front desk, things like that are built into our contract. Typically, Madison County will come in and buy student desk and chairs. But now, whether you're doing that in classrooms that we're touching or not, that's a decision.
Well, I know
That's
we
your-
Media
buy,
center, has it got new furniture?
I'm sorry, very good question.
Yeah.
100% in the contract. Yes,
Good.
so all that you saw in that rendering is in the contract. Typically, art and media center, and then anything built in is furnished. Of course, kitchen equipment, but we're not doing the full-fledged kitchen. But the cafeteria tables, student desk and chairs, teachers' desk and chairs, office furniture, pretty much is,
staying the same.
We do. all
well, not in the contract.
Right, that's what I meant.
Yes. What Madison County decides to do with that will be, you all have that decision to make.
Do we have any other questions for Mr. Thomas? Okay. All right, well, let's jump back to 6C on our agenda, and I need a motion to approve the final plans for the Clarkmore Middle School renovation project as presented.
So move.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Burford and a second by Mr. Rutherford. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, perfect. All right, Mr. Thomas, I think we've got one more for you.
I think
more.
two, but the next one's the BG1, so I'll start with
Yeah.
that, if that's okay.
Yep.
The BG1, there's two reasons that the BG, and well, maybe more, but the two big reasons that we're changing the scope, revising the BG1 is, if you remember back at schematic, they had a review comment that said we needed to revise the BG1 because of the athletic piece that we put in the plans, because they wanted to show some local funding as part of that being in there, not 100%, bond sale. So we needed to revise it for that. But during that time, of course, several things grew and the scope grew, so the total estimated construction now is $6 million. And we've kind of grown a little bit since then, but we're keeping our fingers crossed for that. Hopefully, it's still a good bid market. And then Madison County has also done due diligence, and you can see now there's a lot of residual funding that was not shown on the original BG1, where you've done well and saved money on previous projects. You're now able to apply probably a third of the cost of this project with your residual funding just from past projects. And of course, that's the only place you can spend that money is on other projects.
In that number, are you considering the inflation in the lumber and concrete and stuff that's going on right now?
And steel, oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, I've heard lumber is terrible.
Yeah,
Cost.
yes. Yes. But we're hoping that there's hungry contractors is really what we're hoping for, because there are. There's people out there, since the ATC and the pandemic, really, there have been a lot of people looking for work. We've had more bidders on projects than we've ever had. I could throw a higher number out, but then if that makes you back off from doing something, then you miss the opportunity to do something that you would have done otherwise, if that makes sense.
I'm just saying that because if the bids all come in a lot higher, you know, kind of throw us like, why? And it's because the inflation of the.
Well, and that's a very good point. That's a very good point, and why this whole meeting, I think I keep crossing my fingers and saying we hope we stay there. Steel. Now, I don't understand why lumber has gone through the roof, but steel, you know, has a lot to do with international trade, has really gone up. They said as much as, 10 to 15%. There's a lot of steel in construction. I mean, well, there's just a lot of steel in construction. We're just hoping that the labor costs stay down. But there is the potential, yes, because of all the inflation we've seen with construction materials, that it'll come in higher than this. I would just kind of leave it here for our formal KDE, because ultimately, it's the bid that you see. When the bid comes in and you see that, that's when you commit. I mean, right now, you're not really committed to spending that money, but when you approve a contract, after the bid is when you are committed. If this were 6.5 or 7, well, then you get to analyze that information, and we'll make recommendations, and we'll look at what other options that there are. But if it comes in that high, and you say, you know what, we feel this is fair market value, we understand there's inflation out there, let's go, then you still have that opportunity to make that decision.
I have another question.
Okay.
Our contractors that we have on previous and, the ATC and BTC, are they taking advantage of using people here in Madison County for work? Have you seen that happening? Because I know we've tried to encourage it.
I have in the past. I haven't noticed it or even inquired about it, honestly, on the current the ATC and the CTC. I know a gentleman or two that work on the site are from this area. But what we do with manufacturers, we try to make sure that the manufacturers of materials, like the local brick company, have specified equipment. The local flooring company have specified materials. So materials providers, we can control a little bit more in the specifications, and we always put local vendors and manufacturers in there. It's a little bit tougher to specify who you hire.
Yeah, I'm really saying take advantage of, like you said, our people that sell in the brick or the people that sell in the plumbing.
Absolutely. Yes, the local brick company, the local concrete company, the local brick installers.
Well, I just think everybody's hurting, so it's
I
best
know.
that we're able to build, let's put some back into the community so people have jobs.
Yes. We try to do that, especially with vendors, which is something we control to the best we can.
And also, you mentioned too, we talked about this earlier, the residual, the leftover, so to speak, the $970,000 from Boonesboro is reflected in this revision. Of
Yes.
this BG1 revision, moving it over.
Yes, 970,414.
That's great.
Which, oh yes, and I guess that's the BG5 you all approved.
Correct.
Will need to be uploaded prior to this BG1. I'm sorry, will need to be uploaded ASAP, so that when they see the revised BG1. But yes, it is reflected in there. I think that's over $2 million that you all have from old projects. So that's very good for Madison County.
Okay. we have any more questions? No? Okay. So I need a motion to approve the revised BG1 for the Clarkmore Middle School renovation project.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Coyle. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second by Mrs. Burford. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. All right. And then if you don't mind, to just move right into the BG3.
The BG3 number, since we're doing these at this revised BG1 and the BG3 at the same time, the BG3 is just where we are with our estimate as we do the final plans. Well, they exactly match your revised BG1. So all these BG3 numbers exactly match your revised BG1 numbers and the same explanation for everything. The one thing that I will mention, because I think I owed you all an answer on the fascia metal. Ms. Brock also brought up about the asbestos abatement, and as we got into that portion of it, there is some asbestos abatement for flooring and mastic, which is included, and it's one of the things listed here, but which just in the general construction number. So that's the only thing that I would add to the BG3.
Okay. So it's just formality, basically.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do we have any questions? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the BG3 for the Clarkmore Middle School renovation project?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second by Mrs. Coyle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. All right, we'll move around just a little bit. And Dr. Gillum, how about superintendent's report?
All right, I am ready for that.
All right.
Okay. So to begin the superintendent's report, let me introduce to everyone our new Director of Technology, Mr. Ben Burnett. He's back there in the back of the room. I'll give Ben just a little, come on up here, Ben, if you'd like, so folks can see you. Ben's been working with our district for 12 years. 10 of those have been in technology. His other 2 years with the district were in the classroom as a third grade teacher and also as a special ed paraeducator. So this gives him a very important perspective to be able to meet the needs of our students and our teachers and our schools, and we're really glad to have Ben in that capacity as our new technology director. He began as a TRM in the technology world. He worked his way through our technology department. He's replacing Mr. Jacob Cecil, who took another job. He took a corporate job up in northern Kentucky. So Ben was his right-hand man and has stepped in there, and he's excited to start that new chapter. So Mr. Ben Burnett there. I wanted to make sure I introduced him to start my superintendent
Thank you
report.
all.
Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate it.
I'm
Thank
sure
you,
you'll
Ben.
be hearing from
All
us.
right.
If you need anything,
From
just
me
let us know.
anyway, because
Yeah.
I'm technologically challenged.
By the way, if you ever want to stop by the tech center, we would love to have you. So feel free to stop by and see us anytime you like. So.
Great.
Can you wear a big name tag until we learn your name?
Absolutely.
All right. Next, I want to congratulate Madison Central High School basketball team on their 11th region championship and their appearance in the Sweet 16. They had a great year, and it was an exciting time for our school, the team, the school, the district, the county, the entire community. And this year was a little different than our typical trips to the previous trips to the Sweet 16. You know, in the past, we've taken multiple pep buses and filled the arena, and Madison Central's always had set some of the attendance records at the Sweet 16. This year, because of attendance limitations, we weren't able to do that, but that doesn't make that accomplishment any less special for those student athletes. We are very proud of what they've done. And mention those limitations on the Sweet 16. We will want everybody to know that currently we really don't have limitations on our spring sports season. You know, those are outside, and they are open to everyone. And while we do have some restrictions in place, attendance limitations are not. So anyone that wants to get out and see our local middle school and high school baseball teams, softball teams, track events, tennis, and other spring sports, we certainly welcome that. We've been using our e-ticket processes, and those are still available, but you can also pay right there at the gate, buy your ticket, and walk in. So I want to make sure everybody knows that. And, of course, spring sports, we're in April, and we've already got spring break behind us. So we're just around the corner from the end of the year. Things are beginning to look a little more normal, but school is going great. We couldn't be more proud of the work that our students and our teachers are doing in the classroom. and they really certainly seem to be glad being together and learning together and participating in what we consider to be a somewhat normal school year now as we kind of wrap up. We still have 6 weeks left. Of course, graduation's right around the corner. We mentioned with our high school principals there, the graduations, they are going to be outdoor. They are going to be in our football stadiums. We will have to have a few restrictions in place. We'll be announcing those and giving all that information out, but looking for a very exciting graduation time. And then that'll get us into the summer, and as we mentioned at our last meeting, we are planning for a very robust summer school, and I do want to point out again that I appreciate the board's recognition of the importance of our summer school and some of the pieces that you did at our last meeting to make sure that we have adequate staff and things going on during that summer school period. And then, we're talking about our plans for our summer school, but we're also very busy planning for the 21-22 school year. This week, we're in our second round of allocations. In fact, yesterday and today, I spent most of the day in those allocation meetings where we determine our staff levels for the coming year. And of course, that's based on student enrollment. And student enrollment, there's always a predictive nature to student enrollment. Of course, with the coming school year, that's even more heightened. Because, trying to figure out how many students are going to be in school next year. We can roll those grade levels up, but some come, some go. But with this current year, having been with so many virtual students and option 3 students, how many of those are going to want to come back, and where are we with the potential for a virtual option for next year? That is certainly one piece that's going to impact that virtual option. We're working with KDE right now to see what that might look like. Now, when I say a virtual option, let me be very clear, that would be an option. We are fully planning, fully preparing for a complete school year with our calendar, every day, kids in person, in the classroom with teachers, okay? But we also know that families do want some options, so we are exploring those opportunities and options for some folks that might want to return as a virtual student. So we're exploring those. There's a lot of guidelines that KD is trying to give us on that as well, so we're working through that. And then another piece that makes the predictions for next year a little still up in the air a little bit is the new Senate Bill 128, which folks are probably familiar with. Senate Bill 128, it's also known as the Supplemental Year Bill or the Do-Over Bill. And I think we have put a survey out on our website for anyone that would like to, that thinks they might be interested in that, to go ahead and fill that out. So we can start to get numbers of where we are. But we want everyone to know that there is still a lot of unknowns on that piece, because that was a piece of legislation that passed passed our state legislature and is now into law. But the majority of that legislative bill requires that regulations be changed, and it takes multiple days and events to happen for those regulations to be changed. So while we know that there are changes coming, we don't have those changes in hand. Okay, so we again, we ask for patience on folks. I know there's folks out there that want exact information. We don't know it yet because we don't have it yet. We were actually in a webcast yesterday and then a webinar again today with KDE. KDE released guidance last week, and they're going to update that guidance probably this evening, and there were some things that actually changed during the webcast today. So, and that's just where we are because of and then that's just the nature of that piece. But what we do know, some things that we do know, there is a timeline established, and that is that parents and students have until May 1st to notify us of their interest in that piece, okay? Then we will know from that how many students we have. Then we will make a determination also based off of the pieces that the state tells us. Then we will know what impact that might have on our district if we decide that we are going to do it. Then it will be placed in front of the board, and the board will make a decision. My intention is to bring that to the board at the May meeting for you to make that decision on whether or not we want to offer the supplemental year. The way it's written into law is the board makes the decision on whether they want to offer it to students who said they want to take it or not, okay? And in that case, it's an all or none. Everyone, if we say we do, all students who requested it get it. If we say we don't, then it's not offered to anyone. So that's those are a couple of things. So the May 1st, the June 1st then is the board deadline. And then, again, just because someone fills out that online application request, it still is determined by the board on whether or not we are going to offer that. So much more information is going to be coming in the next few days. We'll share that information through our website with our parents the best way we can. If folks have questions, again, once they fill that out, we're going to see what numbers we have. We'll try to reach out, hopefully directly through our schools to try to answer any and all questions that we have, that folks have on that we can answer. But again, be patient with us, and we'll get that information out just as quick as we can. So with that complicating our piece, we're pressing forward, and that's what most of our staff at the district level is working on right now, is our plans for the summer, for the end of the year, for plans for the summer, and plans for next year, and trying to pull all that together. So that's my superintendent report.
All right. So a couple of things I gleaned from that. We're planning for normal in the fall.
Got it.
And I just want to kind of make sure I'm kind of clear on this do-over bill. So I think there's a lot that we don't know. But I think we do know in terms of our students that are K through 8, they're basically looking at just repeating 100% whatever they were in this year. It's our high school students that it's still kind of up in the air in terms of what that looks like for them.
Yes, and what is making that unclear is the legislation says that the supplemental school year program is established to give students the opportunity to retake or supplement courses or grades from the current year. And so now KDE has to take that legislative intent and then write it into regulation. And they are looking at that, and that's where there's ambiguity. What does that intent, what was the true intent? What does that really mean? And as of today, they interpreted that to be essentially the same as the elementary. If you want if you want a do-over year in a high school, then you're retaking the same courses that you took, or what they are saying is there's a caveat there that they're using that is a reasonable connection to the course. And so we're waiting. They have to tell us. We can't make that. We cannot make that determination at present time, because they write the regulations. They write the state guides on what courses that students are able to take. But then they also give us flexibility at the local level. So we don't know how much flexibility they're going to give us to interpret that. So
I think I say all that to say, I don't think it's going to end up being what several families expected it to be when we first started this conversation.
You're correct, and there are some consequences with it. There are some negative impacts. There are negative impacts for a district, but I don't think they will be serious. One is if a student repeats the high school year, then they will not graduate on time, and it will impact our graduation rate. I do not anticipate us having enough students that's going to be a real big ding on us as far as our academic ratings, but it is certainly something that could impact us. From a student perspective, one big piece is some people are looking at this as, well, this will give me an extra year to possibly get a college scholarship. Actually, it can have a very negative impact, because they have not changed the NCAA clearinghouse, and you only have 4 years from the point you enter ninth grade to go through that NCAA clearinghouse. So if you're having to repeat the grades, if KDE sticks with the piece on you have to repeat this year, well, then you would have been in high school for 4 years, and you would not have completed everything that you were going to need for the clearinghouse. So there's a lot of stuff there that we still have to unpack. And it's simply unknown. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Thank you for that, as I know I've had a lot of questions on that particular situation, so thank you for that. Okay, do we have any comments from the board? Okay. All right, so we are going to, we need to enter into executive session, so I need a motion to enter into executive session to discuss potential real property acquisition or sale for which the publicity at the present stage would likely affect the value per KRS 61.8101B, and also to discuss pending litigation per KRS 61.8101C. Do I have a motion?
So,
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Rutherford. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, and a second by Mrs. Burford. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We are in executive session.
Go out back there. Yeah. You want to need a break first or anything, Mr. I think I'll
Because I
take.
have my